So this is all about taking one step at a time, being mindful, meanwhile the cars are driving by. One step, another step. Not going too fast, but also not going too slow. If we go too fast, then we risk missing whatever is there. And then we easily lose balance into the linear mindset of walking to get somewhere. However, if we walk too slow, then we risk falling out of balance towards the circular, which is just being here now. And while both of these have a purpose, both of these are valuable. Birds. The idea here is to find the dynamic balance of walking, which includes both. That's why this is not exactly the same as mindful walking, which is usually about just paying attention to every moment, and that's all. Hey, ducks. Whatever they call in English, I'm not sure what they call in English. Änder in Swedish. Gräsänder. Grass ducks. So there is still a sense of direction. We are going somewhere, but we're not getting lost in just getting there. If we find that our mind asks, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" then we're probably going too fast. However, if we kind of lose track of where we're going completely and just get fully immersed in the moment, which, I mean, both of these can be great. Sometimes we really need to get somewhere really quickly. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a time for the linear. And so then it's about being in the linear predominantly, and then still maintaining a sense of presence, but focusing on getting there. And conversely, it can be wonderful to be fully immersed in here and now, just the experience of walking, just the experience of one foot and the other, where the destination doesn't even matter. And even so, we might still be aware that, well, there is such a thing as time, eventually it will get dark, eventually maybe our mindfulness class is over or whatever, but still being immersed in the moment. But this is something different. This is the balance between the two. And since it is a dynamic balance, it means that it's not always one. A pheasant. It's not always the other. So we have a direction, a destination even, but we are aware of the surroundings, like this pheasant that just flew. This is the experience of walking in dynamic balance. And it doesn't have to be slow. That's another thing about sometimes mindful walking seems to imply that we have to go really slow. No, we can go fast in this dynamic balance. We can move fast as long as we are fully present and aware where we're going. Actually, also mindful walking can be fast, but usually it's easier to do it while walking slowly, at least as we're learning it. One of the key ingredients here is that it is dynamic. In other words, it's not always the same. Sometimes it's more of one, and sometimes it's more of the other, which can manifest itself as different speeds, walking fast, walking slow. It can manifest itself as being more aware of the direction, being more aware of the present moment. And the present moment includes things like physical sensations, smells. Right now there is a really bad smell here. Food. Okay, so that's part of being present with that. But I'd rather walk fast. I don't want to stay in this unpleasant smell for too long. Okay. But as I'm here. So let's see if I can, or if we can. Oh, you're not smelling this as I am. Let's see if we can maintain our awareness and balance while also moving out of here more rapidly. Yes, that was possible. It was possible to stay present while moving with a purpose to get to another place where the smell is much better. Okay, and then maybe settling into a more slow pace. Breathing. Yawning. Oh, look at that lookout tower. Shall we check it out or not? Shall we check it out or not? Oh, let's check it out briefly. Let's make it an adventure. Wow. Okay. Let's check it out briefly. And now the challenge is to maintain our sense of direction while still going on this little adventure. Wow. So this is the road that we're walking on. This is where we'll continue shortly. Okay. Enjoying the view. Enjoying the view. Okay. Do we still feel the sense of direction? Or have we lost ourselves to the adventure? We are still aware. Well, I am still aware that this is where I will go next. The path that I will take. Most likely, many things can happen along the way. But did we also remember to really savor this experience of the view? Yes, there is the lake. Some altitude. Altitudes a greater extent can frighten. Turbulent skies we first encounter. Okay. And then we're back on the road again. I feel a renewed sense of energy. This little deviation, climbing the tower, was really good. I really enjoyed that. I can't say for certain why I enjoyed it, but I did. I feel more energy now, which means that I can move faster while still feeling very present. I feel very present now. Some people are approaching behind me who are in good spirits, they're laughing. Bicycle is approaching in front of me. And I'm very aware of the direction that I'm going. And I'm very present. Had I not climbed the tower, I would not have had that extra energy boost. And then I would have been moving slower. So eventually, even with the deviation, even with allowing myself to not just focus on getting there as quickly as possible, actually, I might even get there quicker. Even though that is not the purpose. Quite fascinating. Let's settle into the pace that is right in this moment. Oh, there are some birds. So many birds today. I've seen so many birds today, different kinds. Startled birds, swarms of birds. There's another flock of birds. So many birds. Wow. Birds are quite amazing. Well, I mean, they can fly, which is pretty cool in itself. But they certainly also have there's another pheasant. They certainly also have another kind of intelligence. Kind of hive mind. If it's a bird, moves in flocks.
Så det är jag tränar fotboll för de matcherna.
It's getting darker now. Bicycles are coming with their lights on. The sun has set. But here, the sunset takes a while. Since I'm in Sweden, so up north. It's not like Africa, where it's in a matter of minutes it goes from daylight to night. No, here it's gradual. It's gradual. And I think now we're entering the forest, or at least the grove. I think these gradual dawns and dusks, sunrises and sunsets lend themselves especially well to exploration of the liminal, exploration of dynamic balance. The liminal, that which is the in-between state. And dynamic balance has something of that. Yes. Trees around me, darkness surrounds me. On a little pathway through a forest we go. Dark skies above us, woods surround us, and we don't know where we're going, but we're going there anyway. We don't know why, and we're starting to run. The thing about dynamic balance is that it is a liminal space, this in-between space, and it depends on a firm grounding, a firm rooting in both the linear and the circular. Both the circular and the linear. So, what this means is that it is only to the extent that we have really found ourselves and mastered both the circular and the linear that we can access dynamic balance. And the one that we have least access to will be the defining one. And the level of dynamic balance that we can access is probably going to be less than the least developed one. I'm saying probably because we can't really measure the circular, as that is that which cannot be measured, but we can still practice it. We can still become more adept at it. For example, by meditating, or mindful walking, mindful breathing, paying attention to here and now. So we learn more about the circular being. Using our right brain, or right hemisphere of the brain, or rather being aware in that part of the brain. Like there is an activity there that we're aware of. The activity is there anyway. The electricity in the brain is happening, but quite often, if we are not tuned into it, it can be drowned out in the loud chatter of the left hemisphere of the brain, which tends to be louder. It's not always, but if we have practiced the left hemisphere of the brain, or rather practiced skills which pertain to the left hemisphere of the brain. Solving problems, measuring things, natural science, typically, unless we go full quantum physics, but typically natural science is very linear. Left hemisphere of the brain. It's about measuring things, it's about finding the right answer. And traditional schooling is really about that to a very large extent. And even subjects like music and art and dance and theater tend to align with that narrative. It's art for the sake of producing an artifact. Let's say in art class we draw something and then the teacher evaluates what we have drawn rather than focusing on the creative process or the presence with which we draw. So school is very much about that, doing things and evaluating them. Whereas art really has the potential, and actually all sciences have that potential, but art especially, I find, for example, let's take music. Music is a very good example of something which only exists here and now. Music only exists in the present moment. However, for there to be music, time has to pass. If we compare that to painting, a painting is static. The creative process might have been very dynamic, but once the painting is completed, it's static, it's there. It doesn't change, it doesn't move, it's there. Unless we're looking at Harry Potter, but typically paintings, they're static. They are completed and in a sense dead. Whereas music, when it's played, there is movement. Musicians are moving, the sound waves are moving, and the music itself is going from I got so lost in what I was talking about that I forgot where I was going for a moment. Okay, let's just come back. Walking here on this path, it's also getting colder, so I notice that in my thumb that is holding the phone that I'm filming this with, it's getting cold. So all these things affect the level of presence. Okay, now I'm back here. So, being in music has movement. The piece of music only exists if time passes. In the simplest form, we can think of a melody. Melody is not just one note. One note would be ah without changing. That's not a melody. Melody requires several notes, consecutive notes. Then there will be a melody. And the notes can be varying pitch, and they can be long or short. They have different type of overtones from different instruments, etc., which give the quality to it. But it's absolutely fundamental for music that there is a passage of time. Yeah. Coming back to the moment, coming back to the path. I notice it's getting more challenging now to stay present. So, staying present with the mind, the walking, the dynamic balance of the walking, and also talking about music. So several things are going on at the same time. Fascinating. This is an exercise you can also try out, whether walking alone or walking with a friend or partner, to maintain awareness both physically and mentally. Physically, of seeing where we are, the path, presence with the sensations in the body, what we're seeing, being aware of where we're going so we don't get lost. And also mentally, keeping track of the train of thought. Where are the thoughts going? What is it that we want to communicate? Or listening to follow what is being said. And then the emotional awareness. Now it's getting very advanced. So being in the body, being in the mind, and being aware of the emotions in the heart. What are we feeling? Yes. And for me right now, it's a sense of fulfillment and gratitude and frustration at the same time. I feel grateful for this walk and what the experience that I'm having right now with you whenever you're listening to this. So there is something. But I'm also feeling frustration because of the going in and out of balance, and now approaching a road with cars feels like a distraction. And so a part of me is longing for that more peaceful ambience that was before, when it was more natural. And again, this is another way of approaching it. Another polarity between the natural world and the created, man-made, artificial world with roads and streetlights and cars and whatnot. And that is the predicament for many of us, probably for all of those who will listen to this. It will be the predicament of being in the world, both the modern world, the civilized world, the artificial world, and the natural world. Or we could also say nature and culture, which is a more positive. Artificial and natural sounds a bit judgmental. Yeah, natural and cultural. Nature and culture. That's probably a better polarity. Yes, that's it. Both have value. We were talking about music before. That's certainly culture. So there's that. Yeah, and there's gratitude for having this conversation, having these thoughts, this walk. Now I find that I'm walking faster than before. Again, getting quite cold, especially in the front. Oh, switch hands. That was a good move. Now I can warm up my left thumb while my right hand takes over. And it's getting quite dark now. And Whereas before, the scenery was clearly visible. Now it's mainly the street lights, the artificial lights that are visible. So again, there's that polarity between natural and artificial. One of the key things to understand is that it's not that one is better than the other. The linear and the circular, they are different. However, we have been living in a society, most of us, for so long that has valued the linear higher than the circular, which manifests itself in many different ways, including exploiting nature rather than being stewards, taking care of nature and working with it. And typically, indigenous societies have a very different relationship to nature, which is much more about connection. The understanding that we are nature and that our existence depends on collaborating with nature. Because if we just extract and use, whether it is nature or other people or even ourselves, let's say we don't get enough rest, then we are in a sense extracting from our own inner bank accounts, and eventually we're going to have to pay for that. And the same goes with how we relate to other people and how we relate to nature. So again, it's about the balance between giving and receiving, the balance between taking and offering, the balance between doing and being. Balance. So this walk is nearing its close, and this is an invitation to try these things, and I'd love to hear of your experience if you do. And so we're back where we started, although you can probably not see it anymore. But here is that rope bridge once again.